Hello and welcome to the Susu Elections Q&A evening 2015. Megan is done doing her pizza delivery job, so we can crack on. We're not on time tonight, we're running late like any good Unilink bus, but don't blame us. There's been, like the infamous Instagram blackout of 2014, we've had a bit of a Wi-Fi problem here at the university. So Amelia, tell us more about tonight.
So originally what we were going to do is have everyone getting involved via Twitter, but the internet is down, which is really convenient. So instead, if you have any questions that you would like to be asked tonight, then you can do so on a little bit of paper at the back, and hopefully we can be reading them out a little bit later on, as well as some questions that me and Tom have prepared as well.
So Megan is at the back holding the lovely glass box that you can put your questions into. But remember, this is an informal evening. It's a chance to see your sabbatical candidates away from the debate podiums. So Wi-Fi or not, let's kick off with the Q&A. So the first zone we've got coming up is VP Welfare. So if the candidates would like to make their way to the stage. Big round of applause. So VP Welfare, it's a zone working on student support, sustainability and campaigns. They act on issues that many students need to put their students' well-being first, be it housing, mental health or finances. It's kind of the safety blanket of Susu. So we're joined by Eva Pemberton, Sam Bailey and Chibeza Mumbi. Hi guys.
Hello.
How are you feeling tonight?
Good.
Not nervous? No podium to hide behind this time.
It's not as scary as the debates. So with the questions we've got today, we're going to be asking you some directed questions that are based on your manifesto, and then we're going to be asking some ones from the audience as well. And there's going to be a period of 3 answers when it's a group question, which can last for about 4 minutes, but we obviously want everyone to speak equally as well. So, Tom, should we start off with a question from the audience?
We will start off. So this came from Twitter, which we received earlier today with the hashtag #VoteSusu. So the first question, guys, is there are lots of similar but different support groups and services for students here at the university. We've got Nightline, peer support, first support, resident support, lots of support basically, advice centre and enabling services. Does this need changing, this lineup, or is it okay in its current form? Chibeza, if you want to go first.
I think it's okay in its current form. I think it's good that there's a diverse amount of support services for students. It means that no organisation gets overrun by too many students, and it's nice to just have diversity.
I think, yeah, they all sort of cater to different needs when different students need them. I think what we need to do is make sure they're all working together. So if a student comes to the advice centre and actually peer support might be able to help them more, they know what the other group are doing, so they can pass them on and say, hang on, have you thought about talking to these people? And making sure that students know about them. Lots of students don't know we've got the advice centre where they can just pop by and have a chat about housing, about anything else like that. So yeah, we really need to make sure students know about them and they work together.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there's something I have stressed in my manifesto about sort of integrating them a bit more. And I think sometimes things like Nightline gets stressed a lot, and there's also not much space for other support groups, so it's just like peer support, and they were actually telling me that they wanted more like social media based. So yeah, I think just creating a lot more awareness and actually working together, because that's what's important, and again sort of directing people to their own needs so they sort of know which one is suitable for them.
So you obviously mentioned integrating as part of that, but how will you direct students to the right one? Because personally, I wouldn't know which advice centre to go to for certain issues. So how would you direct people towards those?
I say grouping it publicly, like this is for mental health, this is for support with your housing. I think grouping it will make it a lot easier, grouping it on the Susu website or on social media.
I think getting information into the Freshers magazine was key. When you have this list, like if you're unsure about anything, want to go and chat, here are the people to go and talk to, have sort of what they're for, but also making sure that if you do go to the service that might not be the most suitable, they can direct you on and say, hang on, why don't you go and chat to these people? I think that's how we do it.
Even like maybe an online questionnaire on the SUSE website, and you know, say they ask questions and you can answer them, and you've got an answer straight away then. And obviously, you know, getting JCRs maybe to bring it up a little bit more when you first move into halls. So things like that.
Sounds good. So let's kick off with some of my direct questions. So these are all based on your manifestos, which everyone hopefully has looked at online. So let's start with you, Sam.
Yep.
So you said you want to go about getting more work shadowing and internships in SUSU, which sounds amazing, but have you actually thought about how you're going to do that?
I think what we need to do is make sure that students do have the opportunity to get that experience both in SUSU, there's some different jobs. So if you want to go into marketing, why not? We've got our marketing experts in SUSU, so why can't students sort of shadow them, get to know the industry a bit more? And in the university, there are hundreds of different things you might not have even thought about in the professional services. So I think everyone's really keen to improve employability for students and help students get more experience. So I think that's a great way of doing it, and I think everyone will be really on board with it.
Brilliant. So another question for all of you together. Under the VP welfare remit obviously comes disabilities. So how will you ensure that students with disabilities are able to fully participate in all areas of the student union?
I think it's, as an able-bodied person, it's quite hard for me to put myself in the place of disabled students, because obviously I experience life differently, and I think listening to disabled students, asking what they want and what they need from the union is very, very important. So whether that's through surveys or forums, I think that's important.
Sam?
Earlier this year, sort of November time, I hosted an accessibility discussion forum. So we sat down with some students with disability and said, look, what can we do better for you? How can we change things? We got some really, really valuable stuff out of that. We need to keep doing them to make sure that everything that SUSU does is as great as we can. We've also got the equality impact assessments, which is a big process where over the next 3 or 4 years, we'll go through everything SUSU does, so activities, facilities, services, make sure that we're actually doing our best and sharing the best practice. So that every part of SUSU is doing its best. But we need to listen to students. We need to ask students, what do you want? What can we do better? Because at the end of the day, I can't sit there and decide these things. We need students to decide them.
Lovely. And Eva?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think we really need to get out there and just talk to students more, maybe not just sort of online and based. I think we need to actually go out there and have conversations. And I think it would be helpful if we had some more of a student leader position for disability, like an officer, because then we could represent them more. I think there needs to be like an actual voice there, rather than just, you know, a lot of students talking about it. I think there needs to be someone that's focusing directly on this, and they can bring it more to a viewpoint.
We do have a students with disabilities coordinator on the ED committee at the moment.
Okay, well I think we need that more advertised then, because I don't feel it is advertised enough.
So thank you for that question on Twitter. So back to Amelia with another probing question.
Yeah, so Chibeza, you said one of your points is you want to make some self-care packages for exam week, which sounds lovely, but how would you classify who receives them? Because you've got people that maybe don't have exams, like in humanities, but have a lot of coursework to do as well. How would you pay for them? What's going to be in them? And how would you give them out to people? A lot of questions there.
It's okay. Well, I was thinking of putting it on the concourse and just having a little store. It's first come, first serve kind of thing when people are moving through. I thought of having things like what some of the mental health groups do in Southampton, like a little leaflet, like ways to stay safe during exam week, or if you have coursework, just ways to stay on the ball, just cute things like sweets or maybe like little tea lights or things like that, and just kind of giving information of where to go if you are stressed out. I think it would be a nice way to offer it to students.
That does sound nice. And Eva, a question for you as well. You mentioned that you wanted to create a housing booklet, which again is a nice idea, but do you think it's something that anyone will actually read? Like, we've had information given out before and it's just been ignored. Do you think this is going to be any different?
No, like, I think this is a real big issue. I mean, I'm currently working on one with the current VP welfare, and I don't think it needs to be at the start of Freshers Week, because I think that's too early. I think they get inundated with information. I think it needs to come in maybe like a month after, so not when people are actually going to start looking for housing. And we're sort of going to attach a Don't Rush campaign sort of leaflet to that. And I think it's just more getting the word out there that, you know, this is a really important guide. You need to look after this and consult it. And with all that information in there, you won't need to go on, you know, websites. I mean, that's helpful, but to have everything in a pack, I think would be really useful to students.
Thank you.
Brilliant, lovely. So another question that came from Twitter early on today. Some first years were not offered a place in halls until a few days before moving in. Does this need addressing? How will you address this issue of freshers turning up to university potentially with nowhere to live?
I think that's something that really needs to be talked about within the union, relationship between the union and the university and the accommodation services, asking why are these students, why is it taking so long for them to find accommodation, find somewhere to live? I think those questions need to be asked, and it needs to be within the union and the university and who supplies accommodation.
Sam?
I think the university really do need to get their act together. It's just not acceptable that students should be able to come along just a couple of days before they start and not know where they're living. It's just stressful. You want to know where you're going to stay. You want to find out about it. You want to meet people on Facebook who are going to be in the same halls as you, and if they don't know, it must be quite difficult. So I think we need to put pressure on the university to actually get their act together, make sure they're sorting out accommodation early enough. Hopefully with the new halls coming into play, like City Gateway, hopefully that shouldn't happen again, but it's something we really need to be careful of and make sure the university have got it on their radar too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people should know about this from the same time as you apply for halls. They should be applying for this kind of accommodation as well. And yeah, I do really agree that the university have been doing this a long time ago, and it really needs to get sorted out. And I think that, as well as the housing campaign, is a big thing for student welfare.
So obviously you mentioned getting on the university's back about this issue, but it doesn't stop the fact that some people will still turn up in September without somewhere to live. So what are you going to do if they do turn up and they look to you in a sabbatical role to help them in this welfare position?
Definitely guide them to places like the advice centre, let them know if the uni can do anything to provide them with temporary accommodation and just any kind of support they need in terms of where they can go for financial support. Just any way that you can support the student will work.
I think Susu Lettings could be quite a useful resource. Because if you come along and they've got houses available, it'd be a great opportunity to meet up with some other people who haven't got housing sorted yet, with their second or third years, and actually get a house sorted. So hopefully, as Susu Lettings grows, there'll be more landlords, more houses available. But at the end of the day, the university should be sorting this out. Students shouldn't have to look for accommodation so close to the time. It should be something they sort out really early on.
Eva, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm talking to the current welfare at the moment, VP Welfare, about setting up some sort of housing housemate forum. So at the moment we've got a lot of that on Facebook, like the housing, so people that do need a single room can find it, but I feel like there needs to be something official that's actually affiliated with Susu. And we're thinking about doing this through actual search terms, so you can put in things like you know, who you'd get on with, so what course they're doing, how much they want to pay, all that kind of thing. Maybe not for people that are just going to the university. I think they need a lot more support, and I think we should give it to them direct and, you know, say, what do you want, where do you want it, and really get Susu Lettings involved, the advice centre, everything that we can support them with. But I think it's more of a long-term thing when people are just sort of looking for houses, maybe their second year, to set up this sort of website as well.
So kind of a match.com for looking for housemates, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, just to clarify.
A little bit like that.
Well, that is all of our questions. So if you would like to each have about a minute to do a roundup of your main points and anything else you feel like you didn't get a chance to say. Should we start from the other end? So Eva, you go first.
Yeah, say now, obviously a lot of it is based on housing, because that's what I've got experience in. Obviously I'm not going to reject the other areas, so a lot of it's going to be mental health, more advice support with the integration and advice groups, and create more awareness of that. I also want to sort of go back to the basics, so with like health and safety, so promoting more of the physical health and where you can go for support for that. Sexual health is a really big thing I want to focus on, so getting a clinic actually on campus. And again, sort of sustainability, making it a bit more fun, and yeah, just
Brilliant.
I think I've got the experience and the track record to show I can get things done, I can make things change for students when you want them changed. I've held discussion forums, we've done celebrations of LGBT History Month, Black History Month, we've held subtitled screenings, we've done all sorts, but we really want to do more. I want to use my experience, my ideas, to really make a difference for students, listening to them and making sure that everything Susu does is as good for students as it can possibly be. So yeah, shout with Sam from VP Welfare, who makes a difference.
Brilliant.
If you vote for me, I will aim to support you in any way you possibly need to. I want to engage with students in fun and interesting ways, whether it's trying to encourage student enterprise with Susu Market. I was thinking of a monthly takeover where students get to sell their stuff, whether it's food, pottery, or just random things they want to sell. I think it will really help with experience and just fun. I also think of things like a furniture swap for the freshers that are coming in and people that want to get rid of their decorations, and just things like encouraging equality and diversity on campus and raising awareness of abusive relationships in student communities, which I think is overlooked. And yeah, I just want to look after you.
Brilliant. Can we get a huge round of applause for our VP Welfare sabbatical, please?
So that is our VP Welfare candidates for 2015. We'll be back after a short break with your candidates for VP DCI.